In this video, we're going to make a cheese and pesto taranchet. The ingredients you'll need for this taranchet are salt and pepper, green or red pesto, olive oil, a sachet of fast action yeast or a teaspoon of fast action yeast, 200 millilitres of warm water, 340 grams of bread flour, it can be white bread flour or wholemeal bread flour, parmesan cheese, grated mozzarella cheese and a teaspoon of sugar. To make the bread mix, I'm starting with 340 grams of plain bread flour. Now in here I've already got a sachet of yeast because I made it up in school. You will need to at this point add a sachet of fast action yeast or a teaspoon. I'm then going to take my 200 millilitres of warm water. I'm going to pour half of the water into the bread mix and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of caster sugar. Now I like to use a fork at this point because it can get very sticky. So I'm mixing this together and then I'm slowly going to start to add the remaining water. Okay, so you can see this is now a nice firm dough. I'm going to take some flour and sprinkle on the table. Now it's time to knead the bread dough. You're going to use the palm of your hands to push into the bread dough, dragging it slightly. Now if the bread dough is still a little sticky, just use a bit more flour to sprinkle on top. Okay, I've kneaded this for about 2 to 3 minutes. You can see that it's not sticky to touch anymore. Kneading is really important because it will activate the gluten in your bread. The gluten is going to encourage your bread to rise and it will have a nice springy, chewy texture. Okay, so if you press your finger in, the dough should start to bounce back. Okay, you're then going to use the same mixing bowl. Use your olive oil. Just put a dash of olive oil in there. Put your bread dough into the bowl and just turn it around in the oil. You're then going to take some cling film. Now you want to make this airtight. So this is ready to go in for its first proof. You need to proof the bread in a warm area, like an airing cupboard or a kitchen cupboard, and that's going to take 1.5 hours. Okay, so the dough has had 1.5 hours in a warm area. I'm now going to take it out of the bowl. Now you'll see that the dough has doubled in size. You're now going to turn it out onto a floured surface. And you're going to knead it quickly, but not for very long. And you're going to just knead this for 10 seconds. Now you'll hear bubbles pop, so you'll hear air escaping from the dough. This is all the carbon dioxide that has been produced from your yeast. That's enough. So you're then going to take a rolling pin, a little bit of extra flour, and you're going to roll this into a long rectangle. It will have the tendency to spring back. That's when you know you've made a nice dough. So just be patient and try to stretch it with the rolling pin. Okay, I'm going to take my salt and pepper and give a generous sprinkle. Okay, then take your pesto. You want a good dollop of pesto. And take your palette knife and spread that out nice and evenly. Like I mentioned at the start, you can use red pesto. There's lots of different pestos out now. You can get a pumpkin pesto, beetroot pesto. I'm now going to take my grated mozzarella and I'm going to sprinkle that all over the pesto. Nice even layer. Now I've just used a few handfuls of cheese. You can use as much or as little as you like. I'm then going to grate a a thin layer of parmesan. Parmesan is very strong, so you don't need much of it at all. Okay, now it's time to roll your bread dough. Now you're going to start with one end and roll it slowly and as evenly as you can, right down to the bottom. Now with a sharp knife, I'm going to cut even strips. You're going to lay them out in rows of 3, so you should have 4 rows of 3. For your second proof, you need to add a little touch of olive oil to your cling film. So just use a bit of kitchen towel just to spread that on the top. And then just loosely place that on top. Now this goes into the same proving location, somewhere warm and dry, for 25 minutes. So I've just taken these from the proving location. Now I've just made up a quick egg wash, which is 1 egg and a little dash of milk. Just going to really gently drizzle that on top. Now this is optional, you don't need to use an egg wash, it will just help with the colour. I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper on the top. Okay, now these go into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, these are ready to come out. These are going to cool for 10 to 20 minutes and then I can separate them.